Every time thunder cracked outside, the man would strike the sewage pipe once, because that was the only way to mask the noise and keep the guards above from hearing it. This thick pipe was his only way out. After more than a dozen tries, he finally managed to crack it open. Filthy water came gushing out instantly, along with a smell beyond description. But he didn't care one bit. He crawled right into that disgusting pipe, heading toward freedom. Even though it was filled with raw sewage, he gritted his teeth and kept going. Because to escape this prison, he had already spent nearly 20 years. Once he emerged from the sewer, he didn't waste a second and bolted for the trees. Soon enough, the next morning arrived. During roll call, the guards noticed the inmate in cell 245 still hadn't come out.
Don't make me come down there, I'll thump your skull for you!
When there was still no response from the cell, the furious guard stormed over. But when he reached the door, he froze. The cell was completely empty. Meanwhile, the warden was about to change his shoes when he suddenly heard the alarm go off. He knew right away something was wrong and rushed straight to the cell block.
What do you mean he just wasn't here?
Then he started tearing into his men, demanding to know how the inmate was here at last night's count, but now just gone. Next, he ordered them to bring in the man's best friend, a prisoner named Red. He figured since the two were always joined at the hip, the man must have told him something before escaping.
Also, Warden, not a word.
That answer only made the warden angrier. Since this prison was built, nothing like this had ever happened. In a fit of rage, he grabbed a rock and hurled it at the poster on the wall. But instead of a thud, there was a strange echo. When he stepped closer, he saw the rock had gone straight through the poster and punched a hole in the wall. It hit him immediately. He reached his hand in, ripped the poster right off. And there it was, a massive hole in the wall, leading straight outside the prison. Everyone was absolutely stunned. When on earth had the man dug this tunnel? The guards immediately launched a full-scale search with dogs. But after an entire day, all they found was a rock hammer worn almost down to nothing and a tattered prison uniform. Even now, the guards still couldn't believe that one man alone, with nothing but a tiny hammer, had carved out a tunnel that long. Originally, the man had just wanted to carve his name into the wall, but he accidentally discovered the concrete crumbled away with ease. As a geology enthusiast, he immediately understood the key issue. Years of neglect had left the prison walls unmaintained, and weathering had caused the concrete to severely deteriorate. In that moment, he realized this was a gift from above. From that day on, whenever he got the chance, he would chip away at the wall. The poster served as the perfect cover. As for the concrete debris, he'd wait until yard time and quietly shake it out through his pant legs. The hammer was something he'd asked Red to get for him. Red had been in here for 20 years already and knew all the tricks. Other than the keys on a guard's belt, there was practically nothing he couldn't get his hands on. But there was no avoiding the surprise cell inspections. The man knew that if his secret was ever discovered, it would be the end of the line. To avoid raising suspicion, he pretended to be reading. When the warden and his men arrived, he cooperated fully, trying his best not to let them see how tense he really was. The guards behind him tore the place apart, checking every nook and cranny, even the edges of his chair. All the man could do was silently pray. They wouldn't tear down that poster. In the end, after a thorough search, they found nothing out of the ordinary. That's when the warden, who'd been silent the whole time, stepped in. He took the Bible from the man's hands.
Any favorite passages?
Watch ye therefore, for ye know not when the master of the house cometh.
Mark 13:35.
As luck would have it, the warden was a Bible reader himself, so the man's answer pleased him greatly. Even though prison rules forbade inmates from hanging posters, he made a special exception and left it up. On his way out, he handed the Bible back and told him salvation lies within. The truth was, that book was where he hid the hammer. That hammer was his salvation. The man was a banker. He'd been convicted of murdering his wife and her lover and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. But he was actually innocent. That night, he'd gotten drunk and thought about scaring them with a gun. But after hesitating for a long time, he couldn't go through with it. He didn't want to be a criminal, so he just drove home. He tossed the gun into the river. But here's the thing. The very next day, his wife and her lover turned up dead. The murder weapon was the same type of revolver he'd had. The judge used that to seal his conviction and shipped him off to Shawshank Prison. Every time fresh fish arrived, the old-timers would place bets on who'd crack first. At first, Red didn't think much of him. Figured a scrawny guy like that would be easy pickings. The others, though, were betting the chubby guy would be the first one begging on his knees. Looking at the old-timers whooping and hollering, with that hungry look in their eyes, the man couldn't imagine spending the rest of his life in a place like this. Once all the new inmates were inside, the warden laid down the rules. Just then, one of the inmates blurted out and asked when they'd eat. The warden didn't answer. He just gave a nod to the captain of the guards standing beside him.
You eat when we say you eat. You shit when we say you shit, and you piss when we say you piss. On your feet.
I believe in 2 things: discipline and the Bible. Here you'll receive both. Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
After that, they were taken to get hosed down. And once that was over, they were marched to their cells, naked as the day they were born. Every one of those new men understood that the moment those iron doors shut, their lives no longer belonged to them. They belonged to Shawshank. Trying to win the bet, Red's buddies started terrorizing the chubby new guy.
God, I don't belong here. We have a winner. I want to go home.
Sure enough, the chubby guy couldn't take it. He broke down crying, begging to go home. The commotion soon brought the guards over. When they showed up, the guy completely lost it, sobbing and pleading for them to let him go. What he got was dragged out without an ounce of mercy and beaten senseless by the captain. The other inmates couldn't bear to watch anymore and started begging for him to stop. They'd only meant to mess with the new fish a little. Nobody expected it to end up like this. Before long, the chubby guy lay motionless on the floor. The captain ordered him hauled off to the infirmary and warned the rest of the inmates. Make another sound and you'll end up just like him. But by the time they got him there, the doctor had already gone home. He just lay there all night until dawn. By the time the doctor arrived in the morning, it was too late. The inmate who'd started the whole thing couldn't believe it was real. He never imagined a stupid bet would cost someone their life. But in here, one prisoner's life didn't amount to much. Everyone went right back to eating, drinking, and carrying on. Nobody would remember him. Soon, the man ran into trouble of his own. He'd caught the eye of a predator.
Anybody get to you yet?
All he could do was turn around and walk away. But the guy wasn't about to let him go. One day, while the man was working in the laundry as usual, a co-worker sent him to the supply room to grab some bleach. He didn't think twice about it. But just as he was reaching for it, the predator from before appeared silently behind him. And he wasn't alone, 2 others were with him. They were known as the Sisters. The man instantly knew he was in trouble and grabbed a fistful of bleach. But before he could make a move, one of them grabbed him from behind. The outcome was inevitable. He was no match for all 3 of them and could only watch as they put him through the unthinkable. And so began 2 years of hell. From then on, the Sisters would come after him again and again. He was constantly covered in bruises. At this rate, it was only a matter of time before he broke. Then, in the spring of his 3rd year, things finally took a turn. The prison roof needed repairs, and they needed 10 inmates for the job. Everyone knew. A special detail meant special perks. Every man wanted a spot on that crew, but the slots were limited. That was no problem for a seasoned operator like Red. He greased the guards with 10 packs of cigarettes and got his whole crew on the list, including the man. Red knew what he'd been going through and wanted to help the poor guy out. At least while the roofing job lasted, the Sisters couldn't get to him. But as it turned out, this gave the man a shot at changing everything. While the captain was chatting with a colleague, he let it slip that his brother had died and left him a big inheritance. $35,000 of it was his, but the government was going to take nearly half in taxes. It was driving him crazy. The man, being a banker, immediately saw an opportunity. He walked straight up to the captain. That alone nearly gave his buddies a heart attack.
Do you trust your wife?
The moment those words left his mouth, the captain felt insulted and was about to throw him right off the roof.
Because if you do trust her, there's no reason you can't keep that 35,000.
What did you say?
35,000.
35,000?
All of it.
All of it?
Every penny.
Better start making sense.
If you want to keep all that money, give it to your wife. The IRS allows a one-time only gift to your spouse for up to $60,000.
Bullshit. Tax-free?
Tax-free.
He then offered to handle the whole thing for free, saving the captain a fortune in lawyer fees. All he asked was 3 beers apiece for his crew. The captain knew the man was an expert at this sort of thing, and agreed without hesitation. The others had been sweating bullets the whole time, terrified the captain might just kill him on the spot. In the end, they actually got their beers. For men like them, this was the ultimate luxury. Ice-cold beer paid for by the meanest guard in the joint. The sun washed over them in that moment, and they didn't feel like inmates anymore. Just regular working men, enjoying a cold one after a hard day's work. That was exactly what the man wanted. He wanted everyone to feel, even just for a moment, like normal people, even if it only lasted a few minutes.
Hey, want a cold one, Andy?
No thanks. Gave up drinking.
Before long, the roofing job was wrapping up, and they were sent back to the regular routine. That's when the Sisters came calling again. But this time, faced with their assault, the man didn't just take it. He fought back, but that only brought a more vicious beating. They quickly pinned him down.
Now, I'm going to make this clear, and you'll do exactly what I tell you to do.
Try anything stupid, you'll regret it.
Oh, you don't understand. Do that, and I'll make things a lot worse for you.
But you should know that sudden, extreme pressure causes people to lose control. In fact, I hear the instinct is so strong that once it starts, there is no turning back.
That rattled the leader of the Sisters. He knew enough to know the man was right, but his fear quickly turned to rage, and he beat the man mercilessly until he was unconscious. The man ended up spending a whole month in the infirmary. The leader of the Sisters got a week in solitary for it, but the story wasn't over yet. When he came strutting back to his cell, the captain was standing there, looking like death itself. He knew right away something was very wrong, but it was too late to run. He was beaten until he couldn't move, and shipped off to another prison for treatment. After that, the Sisters never bothered the man again. The whole thing had actually been arranged by the warden. He had plans for the man's banking expertise, and needed him in one piece. Soon after, the man was transferred from laundry to the library, where he worked alongside an old-timer who'd been locked up for 50 years. Library duty was simple and easy. Just log the books when someone came to borrow them. since he'd helped the captain dodge his taxes. Other guards started lining up for his help too. To make his life in prison a little easier, he turned no one away and helped each of them out. Within a month, he'd done tax returns for half the guards in the place. He became something of a celebrity at Shawshank. Even the warden himself came to him for help. His workload got so heavy that sometimes Red was brought in to lend a hand to expand the library so everyone could get their hands on new books. He asked the warden for funding, but the warden said that given the current budget, there simply wasn't any money to spare for the library. The only option was to petition the state senate. So with the warden's permission, he started writing the state senate one letter a week requesting funds. Every letter went unanswered, but he wasn't the kind of man to give up easily. He kept it up for 6 years straight. Then one day, something strange happened in the library. The old inmate named Brooks suddenly pulled a knife on one of the others. In all his years here, he'd always been gentle and mild-mannered. This was completely out of character.
Stay back out there!
What the hell's going on?
You tell me. Just 1 second, he's finding out come the knife.
Brooks,
Brooks, we can talk about this, right?
Nothing to talk about, goddammit, it's all talked out.
It turned out his parole had been approved. He was about to be released. That should have been good news, but after 50 years behind these walls, this was all he knew. He didn't want to leave. That's why he tried something this desperate just to stay. After the man talked him down, Brooks finally dropped the knife and accepted his fate. The others couldn't wrap their heads around it. Who in the world would actually want to stay in prison? They'd give anything to get out.
Just institutionalized.
Red explained this was the only place Brooks belonged. In Shawshank, he was somebody. He had a name, he had respect. Out there, he was nothing. Just a worn-out old man. Nobody would give a second look.
But I'm telling you, these walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them. That's institutionalized. You can never get like that.
Oh, yeah? Say that when you've been here as long as Brooks has.
Soon, the day came for Brooks to leave. He set free the crow he'd lovingly raised, giving it its freedom, a symbol of his own liberation. Even the guards showed him respect, shaking his hand one by one as he left. Walking down the busy streets, Brooks looked completely lost. He'd been disconnected from the world for far too long. Everything out here felt completely foreign to him. 50 years ago, he'd only ever seen one automobile. Now they were everywhere. The state set him up with a halfway house and a job bagging groceries, but he was too old. Brooks was slow, and he kept making mistakes. When customers complained, the manager would chew him out right to his face, with no regard for his age. Out here, he didn't have a single friend, or even someone to talk to. At night, he'd lie there imagining he'd wake up, back in his cell at Shawshank. Only there did his life have any meaning. He even thought about robbing a store, just so they'd send him back, but he was too old. His body couldn't take it anymore. Not long after, he made a final decision. He carved his name into the wooden beam, and without a moment's hesitation, chose to end it all. That was the end of Brooks Hatlin's sad story. When the guys inside got the news, they were stuck in a cloud of grief for a long time, especially Red. He'd already been locked up going on 30 years himself. Every time he went before the parole board, he gave the same earnest answer, that he was a changed man, and would never be a danger to society again. And every time he was denied. Then one day, a huge shipment of books arrived at the prison, along with a $200 check. It was from the state senate. They were basically begging the man to stop writing. Seeing that 6 years of persistence had finally paid off, he decided to start writing twice a week. To celebrate the victory, he snuck into the guard's office while the guy was in the bathroom, put a record on the phonograph, blocked all the doors, and switched on the prison's PA system. Just like that, every inmate could hear it. Everyone stopped in their tracks, puzzled, just listening. Normally, the loudspeakers only blared guard orders and reprimands. This time, it was music. By the time the warden stormed over, the man was kicked back in a chair, soaking it all in. For that one moment, the inmates felt like actual human beings, free to sit and listen to something beautiful. When the warden ordered him to shut it off, the man didn't just ignore him. He cranked the volume even higher. That was pure defiance. The next second, the captain smashed through the glass and forced the door open from outside. The man got 2 weeks in the hole for that. Lucky for him, he'd done enough favors around the prison that they went easy on him. Any other inmate probably would have been beaten to death on the spot. Then finally, one day in 1959, his perseverance paid off. The state senate realized $200 wouldn't shut this man up, so they agreed to allocate $500 a year for the library. The place was expanded in no time. Now there was a real place to read, and it was packed from day one. That same year, the warden launched his prison labor program. Free labor from inmates quickly became a hot commodity for local contractors. They lined up to grease the warden's palms, all hoping to get their hands on some prison workers. And the man became the warden's personal money launderer. He'd clean every dirty dollar the warden brought in and stash it across different bank accounts. But the clever man had a plan of his own. He exploited legal loopholes to create a fictitious identity. All the bank accounts were under that phantom name, but whenever the man chose, he could step into that identity himself and walk away with every cent. One day in 1965, a fresh batch of inmates arrived. Among them was a young man named Tommy, busted for breaking and entering. This wasn't his first stretch either, so he fit right in from the start. He and the man hit it off too. Tommy even asked him to help him get his GED, so he'd have a shot at a job when he got out. It was Tommy's arrival that would crack open the truth behind the banker's murder case. One day, while chatting with Red, Tommy casually asked how the man ended up in here.
Caught his wife in bed with some golf pro. Greased them both.
When he heard it, something clicked in Tommy's head. 4 years back, when he was doing time at another prison, a new cellmate had shown up one day, a burglar, who loved bragging about every job he'd pulled. His most recent one involved a golf pro. He'd broken into the guy's place and walked in on him getting cozy with some woman. In a rage, he took their lives. He found out later the woman was married to some hotshot banker, and that banker was the very man standing right in front of him. It all hit him at once. So that's what really happened that night. He really had been innocent all along. He went straight to the warden and begged him to reopen the case, to clear his name. But the warden wasn't about to let his cash cow walk free. He dismissed Tommy's story as nothing more than a lie, cooked up to win the man's favor.
Sir, if I were to ever get out, I would never mention what goes on in here. I'd be just as indictable as you for laundering that money.
Bringing up something that sensitive set the warden off. He immediately had the man dragged out and thrown into solitary for a month. Then he summoned Tommy. Tommy didn't realize he was walking into a trap. At first, the warden was real friendly, even offered him a cigarette with his own hand, all just to pump him for information about whether the story was really true.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Would you be willing to swear before a judge and jury, having placed your hand on the good book and taken an oath before Almighty God himself?
Just give me that chance.
Only after hearing the confirmation did the warden relax. He stubbed out his cigarette on the ground, then gave a signal to the captain up above. The outcome was inevitable. Tommy was taken out without mercy. They already had the cover story ready. He tried to escape, resisted when the guards caught him, so they had no choice but to shoot. Then the warden went down to the man in solitary, insisting he come back to work. When the man refused, the threats started flying. Burn down the library so nobody gets their books. Throw him in a cell with the predators. Pull his guard protection, all of it. He had no choice but to give in. But a bold idea was already forming in his mind. He found Red and said his goodbyes, telling him about his dream, a little town called Zihuatanejo, right on the Pacific. He'd buy a beat-up boat and fix it up, open a small hotel, and live out the rest of his days. After laying all that out, he asked Red for one favor. If Red ever got out, go to a place called Buxton. There's a hayfield there, a big oak tree at the north end, and a stone wall right beside it. Look for a piece of black volcanic glass.
There's something buried under it I want you to have.
Red was baffled. He had no idea why the man was suddenly saying all this strange stuff. He just figured the guy had finally snapped. The next day, the man was handling the warden's books as usual, but the moment the warden turned to open the safe, he quietly swapped out the ledger. The warden never noticed a thing and locked the fake documents right inside the safe himself. On his way out, the warden reminded him to polish his shoes. The man polished them all right then, put them on his own feet. Red saw the haunted look on his face and got worried. After lights out that night, the man slipped out of his prison uniform, revealing the warden's suit and tie underneath. After 20 years of work, his tunnel was finally complete. Tonight was the night. Under the cover of darkness, he made his escape. The very next morning, he walked into a bank and withdrew every penny the warden had. He bought a convertible and drove off to start his new life. When the warden opened his safe again, all he found was that Bible. He flipped it open and there was the hollowed-out compartment. By the time it sank in, it was far too late. The man had mailed all the evidence, the bribes, the murder straight to the newspaper. It didn't take long for the feds to show up. And the captain, who was in on all of it, wasn't going to escape justice either. The warden knew exactly what prison would mean for him, either the highest punishment or the inmates making him pay. Rather than face that humiliation, he took the final way out. He died, never understanding how the man had brought him down. Although Andy was gone, his legend lived on inside those walls. Everyone admired him. He looked like a man a stiff breeze could knock over. Yet he pulled off something truly incredible. With the warden gone, life inside improved considerably. And Red finally got his third shot at parole. He'd been locked up for 40 years. This time, the board finally said yes. Just like Brooks before him, he put on a clean suit and walked out through those prison gates in front of the guards. And just like Brooks, he looked dazed on the bus ride back. He was given Brooks' old room and the same grocery store job. It was clear he still hadn't adjusted to life on the outside.
Restroom break, boss?
You don't need to ask me every time you need to go take a piss. Just go, understand?
40 years I've been asking permission to piss. All I do anymore is think of ways to break my parole. So maybe they'd send me back.
He almost went the same way as Brooks, but something kept pulling at him the promise he'd made. He made his way to the place the man had described. After crossing hills and fields, he found the big oak tree. Then, following the stone wall, he spotted that piece of black volcanic glass. He lifted it, and sure enough, something was hidden underneath, a dusty tin box. After making sure no one was watching, Red opened it. Inside was a letter and a stack of cash. In the letter, the man wrote that he'd already set up a chessboard in Zihuatanejo and was just waiting for him to show up.
Remember, Red, hope is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this letter finds you, and finds you well. Your friend, Andy.
Get busy living, or get busy dying. That's goddamn right. I'm guilty of committing a crime. A role violation. Of course, I doubt they'll toss up any roadblocks for that. Not for an old crook like me. Fort Engard, Texas, please. I find I'm so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it's the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope I can make it across the border.